Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Wake Up, Wake Up. I'm your host, Heidi Hite, and today I'm speaking with Sirriya Din. Sirriya, thank you so much for coming and joining me.
I'm just so pleased to join with you, Heidi.
Oh, it makes my heart so full to sit here and chat with you and see you, because we always chat on the phone. So this is our first time seeing each other. So, Sirriya, so I would really love to speak with you about your Morphic Awakening.
Mm-hmm.
And would you like to explain to our viewers what Morphic Awakening is?
All right. Morphic Awakening is a consciousness technique that just got downloaded one night, about 2 in the morning, on a hot summer night. And there are a couple of components to it. One is directing people and helping them connect with their unconditioned consciousness, with their unlimited consciousness. Mm-hmm. And the other is using energy and consciousness to eliminate some of the limiting patterns that we have, and then to connect to the infinite potential. There are, well, Rupert Sheldrake first introduced, I think, morphic fields. And those are organized fields of information around basically everything. And they're interactive. So your consciousness affects them, they affect you, and everything else that's connected to that field. But in the field also is an attractor. And that's the infinite potential that is pulling us in an evolutionary sense. And so we eliminate the limit and connect to the attractor.
Right.
Yeah. And just an example of morphic fields, that might be useful because just the word sounds a little bit abstract, but we see it all the time. Most people have heard about the 100th monkey. A monkey's one place starts washing its sweet potato before it eats it, and pretty soon other monkeys in the group are doing it. And then suddenly across the world, other monkeys start doing the same thing. Same information. It's in the morphic field. In IQ tests have to be changed frequently because at some point people start getting very high scores. And it's not that people are any more intelligent. It's that the answers are in the field. It's called the Flynn effect. Mm-hmm. So they have to redo them and then bring them back down to the norm. And so,
would you say that's superconscious? Would you say that's in your superconscious? Or
I don't.
All that is?
I don't use that term.
Okay.
I would say that everything is consciousness. Everything arises from consciousness, and it's organized fields within the infinite, unlimited consciousness. And it organizes as forms. Every form has some sort of a contraction around it. And this is information fields around those forms.
So I understand what you're saying because I've done sessions with you. When I go into the field and how is this? Would you say this is shadow work? No, it's different than shadow. Well,
you could say it is because shadow work only exists in the dual mind. Mm-hmm. It's the dual mind is opposites, light, dark, good, bad. But when you drop into your unconditioned consciousness, there's no shadow.
Right.
There's wholeness. And so what we do is try to drop into the wholeness and then either shift the limitations or send them up to a higher calibration of consciousness. And we use the Hawkins scale from 0 to 1,000 just to send it up to higher frequency, and then it loses that darkness. There's no darkness there.
Okay. How is it that you, because sometimes I know when I'm doing a session and you can already feel where it is in me.
Yeah.
Kind of guide me to see it myself.
How do I do that?
Mm-hmm.
Same way everybody can do it, and probably everybody's doing it and just unconscious of it.
Mm-hmm.
But there is one field of consciousness, so I can put my awareness in your energy field and feel what's there.
Can you
Just like you could do that with me. Huh?
Can you walk us through how you do that? How you put your
okay, but before I work, I have to drop into the heart or the sacral consciousness, or there's a consciousness that's further back in the cranium behind mostly the conditionings in the frontal cortex area. Drop into one of those empty spaces. They're empty, but they have access to all of the information in the field.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So first I have to drop into that. So there is no Sirriya creature anymore. Mm-hmm. There's just that pure consciousness. And it knows. I as Sirriya wouldn't know.
Oh, wow. So when you take a couple of moments and you kind of drop into your heart, and then do you imagine, like, if someone has never done energy work?
Well, first I would say, I would really urge everyone to drop into the heart and stay there, so that it's not just something that you do when you work. It's where you live from. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what's happening to our culture now. You hear a lot more talk about love. You talk about heart than 20 years ago or 40 years ago. It's really quite beautiful. And even Gurdjieff, the 20th century Russian mystic, talked about how humans began with their awareness in the reptilian brain, fight, flight, survival, went up to the amygdala, learned about emotion, frontal cortex learned how to be rational or have concepts. But he said the real blossoming of humanity is falling back into the heart. And I think that's happening.
Right.
Yeah.
It's true. I find a lot more people interested in energy work, and they're just tired of feeling bad.
Yeah. It's passé. You know, what's really interesting, I was watching Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York, during talking about during the pandemic and talking about what was happening. And it was interesting to watch him suddenly start talking about love. And it was just about love. And my heart just smiled at that. It's becoming ubiquitous. Love is becoming ubiquitous, and it is, because that's when you fall into the heart, you realize it's all love. Mm-hmm. So,
do you think that people get stuck in looking for the not love, and they're just looking in the wrong way?
They think it's an emotion, mm-hmm. Or one of the things I've also noted, Heidi, is that when we leave, we're born in wholeness, right? And then at some time around 3 or so, we crystallize into an experience of separation and go into the dual mind. When we go into the dual mind, we're not whole anymore. So suddenly we feel there's a lack, like there's something wrong with me, I'm wounded, there's something inherently amiss. Mm-hmm. And this feeling of lack, then we go, well, how am I going to resolve this pain? And so this is what I did. I went out into the world to try to find something to get rid of that feeling of lack. Relationships, politics, drugs, anything to try to do that. And even psychology, like I became a psychologist because I thought psychology would do it. But it's not. We can't get to that place of unconditional happiness in the mind. It's not an instrument for that. It's an instrument of separation. Right. And it's not loving. People say I love someone if they align with their egoic ideal.
It's how I want
to here. Yeah. But in the heart, you just love everything. You just are love. And you're so whole. There's no need. It's just an expression of being.
That's amazing. And I believe that that's where you're at. And I would just like to point out that I think that it was for maybe a month or 2 months before I actually did a session with you, I sent you a list of questions, and you so thoughtfully went through each question and answered them in paragraphs. And for months we went back and forth, and I never had booked a session with you. And it was, to me, I go, wow, this individual really cares about the evolution of consciousness, or the awareness of consciousness.
I love beauty, and there's nothing more beautiful than seeing someone go, I don't have to suffer anymore.
And it's kind of like a little light, and you know it's there. And and you just keep on this quest of search,
Exactly. When I was, I guess, the first 30-something years of my life, I would spontaneously have these experiences of expansion or ecstasy. And that was, how do I keep it? So I knew it was there. And then I would try to get excited. Maybe if I get excited enough, that kind of happy, and it doesn't work.
But did you find by doing meditation, or like, what were your, how can you help people watching this that have never really heard of shadow work, or have never really done
Well, this isn't shadow work.
Well, haven't ever heard of, would you say
awakening in this way? Dropping to the heart. Okay. One, I spent years meditating, and I've had a Buddhist practice, a Sufi practice, shaman. I mean, I did all these different things looking for it. And then I gave up. I said, okay, I quit. And when I quit, I said, stop, I'm stopping. That's it. I'm just ordinary life. My awareness fell.
Wow.
And because I wasn't striving, I wasn't trying anymore. And that striving keeps you away from it. So by just stopping, and when I did that, I realized that the meditation might have been useful in helping to be more one-pointed, but that's not what awakening is. Awakening is falling into a consciousness that hasn't been conditioned. It's so simple. It's so simple. And it's just a matter of dropping awareness down. And the mind will keep beckoning you like the sirens. Come back, come back, come back. Mind told me if I didn't come back to the mind, I would die. And at that point, Heidi, I was like, go ahead and die. I don't want to live in fear anymore. I don't want those ups and downs. I'm sick of it. Sick of it. Yeah.
That kind of reminds me of Eckhart Tolle, how he said he just wanted to die, and part of him did die, and that was his ego, and that kind of similar.
Exactly. So it's, you suffer enough, you get so sick of it, you're ready to let go.
Right. There were two different exercises that really resonated with me, that how you got me to drop into my heart. And I believe the first one was almost, I was imagining was it smoke going up, or kind of I remember you said something, it was very peaceful, and you kind of walked me through to the first one was kind of this, as I imagine smoke kind of going up into the sky, and then imagining all that was, and then the second,
that's so unfamiliar to me.
I remember it was something that you kind of like said three different ways, and you're like, okay, well, think about it this way. And then it was almost like you just wanted me to be calm and imagine everything else, just to watch it lift.
Yeah.
And then the second one you said was to drop into the cave
of the heart. Yeah.
Heart, and it was very spacious.
There are a couple of ways. Like, you could just take your awareness and just feel it like an anchor or a feather floating down, and it'll drop into the heart.
Oh, maybe that's what it was. It was a feather dropping down.
Yeah, not up. Down.
Not the smoke going up. It was a feather just.
Yeah, right down there. And when you get there, suddenly you'll notice there's a stillness.
And it's almost uncomfortable. Not uncomfortable, but it's like, is it supposed to be like this? When you get there?
I know. Well, the mind will get there and it'll say, oh, there's nothing here. But that's what you're looking for. An absence of pattern, an absence of mind. And the more you stay in it, it can be sometimes totally empty and sometimes overflowingly full.
Oh.
But live, it's a living intelligence. Another way to get there is let go of the future, let go of the past. Without a future and without a past, what do you experience?
You're just right now.
Yeah. Can you feel that consciousness of just right now?
It's kind of like,
yeah. And you can live from ah.
mm-hmm. And do you think that by getting to there, let's say there's a lot of people right now that don't have jobs and are unemployed, and their business are shutting down, and they have a lot of stress, and let's say maybe on the 1st, the rent is due and they don't have any money, but by dropping into that consciousness, you're attracting more of that into your life? Or how would you?
What you're doing, you're connecting to a deeper intelligence that knows just the way your life is to unfold, unlike your mind. And it may unfold in a way that your ego wouldn't imagine, but it will be the best for you and make you the happiest. I knew a man who was in prison, and he dropped into the heart, and he said, same prison food, same prison guards, but the walls were singing silent arias. Happiness isn't conditional.
Right.
So the circumstances might be challenging. You might have to go into that creative function and just, which is greater when you're expanded than it is when you're contracted, and just see where it takes you and how it resolves the issue.
Kind of where it inspires you to go? Or do you feel excitement when you get there? Once they dropped in there, how would they listen to that intelligence?
It's interesting. That intelligence is, people experience it in different ways. Some people experience it as just a knowing. Suddenly they know, almost like an intuition, but they just know. I've experienced it that way, like getting up from a nap and this is what I'm to do. And I just follow it, not knowing or attached to the result. You just follow it. It's a real surrender of the conditioned intelligence into the deeper intelligence, the true intelligence. Our conditioned intelligence is very limited.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I like how you said that about meditation, because for a long time I would wake up, and for an hour before I would start my day, I meditate, and then I would kind of do the Dr. Joe Dispenza. You meditate on how you are, then you imagineer how you would like it to be, but in the past. But then I got to a point where it almost felt like a job. So then I stopped doing it until I felt excited to do it again.
And then you're a meditator. It's another identity.
Mm-hmm. And then when I did it, I felt like, I'm not going to have a good day.
So, what now?
So I like that you said that, because then I become a meditator, and if I don't meditate, then I'm not going to have a good day,
Right. It's just another thought form and another identity.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in the heart, there's no me. You know how the contraction of me is there? When you go down to the heart, is that even there?
No.
So how can there be a meditator? There's no me. And there's really no awakening. You're already awakened. When you go to the heart, there's no me that achieves awakening. It's just an awakened consciousness. It's an alive consciousness that's expanded.
That resonates with me. That I can feel that. And some days I feel, when I work with you, I can feel that peace. I just walk around, and things that might have triggered me before, I'm like, I just kind of float. And then sometimes I find it hard to get back into that place, just because my mind is running so crazy.
Well, we've been trained to go to the mind, and the mind can't do nothingness. It can't do open consciousness. It's not made for that.
Mm-hmm.
It can do the past, it can do the future, but it can't do now. But what the habit of going to the mind is the one to break. and listening to thoughts. The more we listen to our thoughts, the more power we give them.
That's so true.
Yeah. I don't listen to my thoughts. I know they're not truth. So when they come through, it's like, yeah. And then if you don't listen to them, they get quieter and quieter and quieter.
Huh. So what, you just listen to that feeling of knowing, or just feel the feeling of knowing?
Just feel the feeling of knowing.
And everything just works out better than you can imagine?
It works out differently and better. Yeah. Yeah. And it takes you places that you would not have imagined in your life. I mean, I didn't imagine doing energy work. I was a psychologist. I couldn't imagine doing this. And if you'd have told me 30 years ago, I'd probably rolled my eyes and thought, oh my God, that's ridiculous stuff. And now I'm talking to cats and doing all sorts of things and trees.
When I see animals, I try to drop into that heart space. And then I talk to the animal. And I feel like if I do meditate though, or if I can get to a place where I sit with myself and then I go outside, it's like my brother thinks it's funny because all the street cats have adopted me. And I'll just go for a walk and they'll just follow me and they'll talk to me like meow, 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 you know. Yeah. I'm like, oh, hi. And I was never allowed to have cats before my dad is allergic to cats. My brother's allergic to cats. And so we just kind of became friends. And my brother was so mad at first, but now he's just accepted it because I don't have any pets. And so I hang out with them on the front porch, but they don't come inside. But I swear they talk to me.
I'm sure they do. And I'm sure they can feel that energy and they resonate with it.
Right.
Think about, St. Francis and the birds and Ramana Maharshi who mediated quarrels with the monkeys,
Well, there's a lady, her name is Anna. I can't remember her last name, but she, you know what I'm talking about? Oh, I think, did I send you that video of her talking to the animals? Or maybe,
are you the spirit or the video of spirit?
Yes.
I saw that years ago. It is the most beautiful thing I've seen. I mean, your heart just melts, doesn't it?
Every time I stop what I'm doing and it's like I'm watching it from the very first time. And whenever I'm around horses or cats, they're only animals I'm around right now, is I tried to drop into my heart and send them pictures, but I can't ever. I guess I'm not dropping in enough to receive the pictures.
You may not get it in pictures. You may just sort of know what they're saying.
Oh, okay.
Like when I communicate with my cats, I don't get it in pictures.
Oh, okay.
I just know what they're saying to me. And now some of them are on the other side. They're still communicating.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. No, I feel like I got this one cat. I hadn't had any animals in a long, long, long time. And a client came when I was still doing psychology and said, I have a cat in the basement. I said, I'll take it. And I was like, I hadn't even thought about a cat. I was like, where did that come from? And she brought it over. It was really ugly. Its eyes were infected. And I was like, I said, you can't turn it away because it's ugly.
Yeah.
And I took her and she ended up being my teacher.
Oh.
Yeah. She cleaned up. Lovely cat. But she was a real stern consciousness teacher. Like if I went into the mind, she wouldn't have anything to do with me. I had to be in the heart, and then she would be with me.
Wow.
Yeah. She was a good teacher.
That is a great teacher. Cats, I don't know. I just feel like they're so consciously aware.
They're so consciously aware. Rigpa actually wrote a book through me using me.
Really?
Yeah.
What's the name of the book?
It's the Rigpa Papers.
And is it somewhere online that people can look?
Somebody's doing illustrations for it now.
Oh, I'm so excited to.
It's only a 10-page pamphlet, but it's very, very profound. And very. When she was little, I named her Bardo because I was working with a lot of people who were dying. So I was thinking about the Bardo realms, Bardo and Bridget Bardot, a cat activist. I said that was a good name. For 6 months, she wouldn't answer Bardo. And it was like, so I'll change your name, I'll see. So I named her Rigpa. And Rigpa means luminescent consciousness. And she immediately answered. And her thing was, I work the bardos. I'm not in
Right.
them. She's my teacher.
That's amazing.
So, I mean, doesn't that sound wacky?
It
If I
does.
had heard someone saying this years ago, I would have just
Yes.
discounted it fully.
And I never even knew that this was a thing before I saw that spirit video. Right.
Spirit was amazing.
Pablo became spirit. I think that was the name of the video.
Actually did the same thing with his name, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. That's what I was saying, because he did not like his name and he was angry that they called him that. And then when he changed his name,
yeah, love it. Yeah,
I just find that so amazing how, you know, how some people don't think that animals have consciousness, and it just breaks my heart when I see anyone mistreating an animal.
I know. It seems to be changing. People seem to be shifting on that, right?
I think so.
That,
my brother always thinks it's funny because I'll watch a movie and if someone dies, you know, we see so many people die in movies, but then if the horse dies, I'm like, the horse! Can you believe that?
They're so pure, right? I understand.
Well, there any other tools or anything that you can maybe give to people? You know, I think the dropping into the heart is probably the best tools.
Another thing they can actually do is drop their awareness down to their sacral area. There's another consciousness there.
Okay.
And try this. This is some, feel where do you go to think and figure things out? Probably, let's see, frontal cortex, right? Right. Now, take your awareness back to the head until you find an empty, still place there. Not in the back maybe, but more to the back than the frontal cortex. And see if you can find a place of stillness.
It's like it keeps redirecting me.
What, your mind keeps pulling you? Yeah, it'll do that. It'll try.
Okay.
You're getting it. I can see the light in your face changed. You can keep your awareness there too.
It's interesting because right when you say the light changed, I instantly started seeing a light kind of almost like a star light, you know, just sitting.
Yeah. Could you feel your whole nervous system relax a little when you put your awareness there? Yeah.
I need to put a reminder on my phone. Drop into the back. Drop into the back.
Yeah.
Everybody,
it's just creating a new habit.
It is.
Just a new habit. And then once you're there, you'll realize suddenly there's this flip where you know, you keep wanting to go to the mind, it keeps pulling you, and then suddenly it flips because the mind's not the natural self. And then you're in that other consciousness, and it feels very unnatural to go to the mind. It's like, why did I ever do that? There's so much tension there. So much fight, you know, and judgment. And
I remember one time when I was filming and I called you and we did a session in between my scenes, and I just thought it was so amazing because I just couldn't get to that spot
where it was flowing through you, or the role was just that. Yeah, you do it all the time, actually. Probably, like you ask, how do you know what somebody's feeling? As an actress, you probably do that all the time with a character. And you get into that. You can do the same. Whoop. Uh-oh, what happened here? Oh, how do I get out of here? Close. Okay. Are you there, Heidi? There. Okay. It was announcing low energy, low battery. So.
Oh, was it? No, but I find that so fascinating that, you know, I think we did a 30-minute session, and afterwards I just walked in and even the actor that I was practicing my scenes with and that I went into next, he's like, I should have ridden with you in your car from the other set. And
Oh, that's hilarious.
yeah, and because he noticed, he just right when I walked in, it was a feeling, you know.
Yeah. It's a different energy field around you when you are there.
I just can't say enough great things about you and about, you know, and it's because I feel like you're a coach and you coach me how to train that habit to go in there.
Yeah.
But I do remember you did say that I did have some ancestors that were blocking.
Right. When you're doing Morphic Awakening, you check the ancestors' DNA, past descendants, past life issues, future life issues, and you can clear all of those energetically. So that,
how does that work when you clear that? Like, are you asking them to, or do you just tell them no more, or what's the?
No, it depends. There are sometimes there's a piece of consciousness that really has an individual consciousness, like a child consciousness that we might find, and that we try to get it to open and find out what the true self is, so it doesn't have fear and it doesn't, you know, like that. But you could just like poof to higher frequency. It's that easy.
And it is that easy, but my mind doesn't want me to think that it's that easy.
I know the mind loves to complicate, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. And that's why
it wants to make things permanent. The mind likes permanence, and that's why it gets so much. There's so much suffering because it tries to make. I mean, we're living in an impermanent
right.
outer reality, and it wants to make it permanent.
Right.
Or if something's bad, it'll say, "Oh, this is permanent," or "Oh, I've got to make this permanent." It just can't be done.
Or also when you have something really good, you're like, oh, it makes you stress to keep it permanent.
That's what I did with those experiences of ecstasy. It would have the exit, oh, how can I keep this, right? Mm-hmm. And then as soon as you think that, you're out of it.
That's right. And that could be a job or a relationship or anything, you know. It's just if I'm aware when I allow my mind to go there, and then it's almost, you know, I start stressing out, and then it's like I take a step back and I can just feel this, you know.
Yeah.
And I laugh. I'm like, oh God, I'm clinging onto something that I imagine in my own mind.
Exactly. It's so beautiful. I love your devotion to consciousness and learning about it and experiencing it. That's beautiful. Well, what else is more wonderful in this life, you know?
That's like your happiness, and it's just,
yeah,
I don't really mind anything that happens in life. I feel like, you know, it's like everyone's like, oh, I can't believe you had to do all these things or you work so much, but I feel like every day I'm around new people and I find everyone so interesting that maybe sometimes my body gets tired, but it's not because I try to get to that place of joy inside. So it doesn't really matter what's happening around me.
It doesn't matter. It's unconditional.
Yes.
It's your essence. It's your nature. It's your true nature.
It is. And I just, I don't know, I just appreciate you and your devotion to consciousness and teaching people this, because to people like me who are searching for, you know, it's like, I'm like on the cusp, I get it. And then I kind of slide back, and then you just.
Then stop the search. What if you just totally right now stop all searching and all mechanisms of mind? What do you feel?
Like,
yeah. You're already awake. The search can actually energetically take us away from our true self. Anything that moves us out can take us away. It's already here. Isn't that good news?
It's great news. It's probably the best news right now.
I know, after all these paths and moving from New York to Illinois to see if I could find it in a group, looking, searching. It's just like, no more. And then.
Exactly. Well, the last time I moved to Los Angeles, I moved with a boyfriend, and he was all, shouldn't you be going on auditions? And all I could do was watch Gaia and all the different shows about consciousness and like, and I was just like going down this rabbit hole. I'm like, no, but there's something here that, you know, because I find joy in acting. It's play to me. It's
yeah.
I will go, if I have time, I will go act on your set if you're one of my friends, and I won't even ask you for money, because to me it's like so much fun just to play. And so I find joy in that. But also what I found through finding people like yourself, that joy, you don't have to just go to be acting to feel that joy. It's always there. And so when I found that, I was just going.
And when you look at your life as play.
Yes.
This whole form is just play for a while. It's just consciousness playing.
It is
it's not, I mean, then you just don't take it so seriously.
It's so true. And people, because, you know, I'm in my 30s, and people always joke, aren't you a little old to be skateboarding? and I tell them,
I love it.
I have so much joy skateboarding that I'm not skateboarding for anyone to be like, oh, she's a skateboarder. I just like riding that wave, you know, or the energy of it is just flowing. And it really, I drop into that place, and I'm just, you know, I just kind of going.
I love it.
So, and so I always tell people, I'm like, I have to play. I have to play every day. That's my play.
Yeah.
But
it's
that is another tool that I think I have to be playing on something or with something. So that's a good reminder.
Think of your mind and your form is just play, consciousness playing.
Right. I think that light workers came, and they came to be with different jobs just to be around different types of people. So it's not really the job that's important of what you're doing, because I think every job is just as important as in the other when you're around other consciousness. But like illuminating the other consciousnesses, the other people around you is the job. And what the job is just the detail, you know, it's not important.
Yeah. It's just being that.
Right.
And it's like a homeopathic remedy that is in the air.
Yes. And you know, when you're just around people that feel so good, I'm like, why do you feel so good? I just want to be around you, you know?
And some people don't, you know.
Right.
There are other people that find it uncomfortable, and that's okay too.
Right.
You know?
That's true. And it's because I find that when some people, the more work I do, sometimes the more friends I lose. And I don't really lose them. We're just on a different level. We're maybe on roads.
I see so many friendships that are out of need. People get together to talk about their problems.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a real bonding. Problems. When you don't have problems, you know, you can talk about consciousness, or you can talk about, but not very many people are doing that. Some people.
Yes. I went to a party. Maybe when I was in Los Angeles, I sat at a dinner party, and my girlfriend, who was my neighbor, invited me, and I didn't know any of these people. And I got to this dinner table, and it was a 2-hour discussion about consciousness from people all over the world. And it was probably one of the most beautiful dinners. And I was so full that this was nobody talked about everyone there at this table was a musician or an actor, or, you know, but everyone was just there to kind of talk about consciousness. And I had no idea what I was getting into. And I was just like, wow.
So beautiful. I know. I love I think it's Hafiz. Yeah, I think it was Hafiz. But anyway, let's talk about love tonight. What else is there to talk about? And I love that, like just getting there to talk about love.
Right, I love that. And I was at a dinner party maybe like a year ago, and I remember this girl was sitting there, and she's a lovely girl, and we're really good friends. But she was just, I go, how are you doing? I haven't seen you in so long. And she's like, well, I'm so glad you asked. Thing that I hadn't maybe seen her in a year. So she started from the very top, from maybe the day I didn't see her, and worked her way up. I was just like, my face, and I just like, and literally I was like, I just couldn't do it anymore. And I was trying to be courteous and listen. and just hold the space. And I was like, I need to be a better meditator, as I was thinking, to be able to like sit in that spot to hear people. And after a while, I was just like, okay, well, that's a lot. That's a lot. I'm gonna go outside. And she kind of was like angry at me that I didn't want to listen.
Hear that, take in all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't know how to handle that situation, to be honest. And I still feel she kind of feels a little chip on her shoulder towards me because of the way maybe I didn't handle the situation the best, but it was just too much. And I didn't want to play the, oh, well, this is happening to me and this is happening to you.
Whoops. There we go. Are we back? There we go. Yeah.
So how would you handle a situation like that?
I don't know. There's no rule. I would wait and see what consciousness came up with. I know I do know someone, though, someone whom I love a lot, who goes into very detailed stories, very long, detailed stories about people I don't know and I don't care about hearing. And I asked for permission to, when it started getting too much for me, that I could say, cut to the chase.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Because
I could listen for a while, but then after a while, it's like, okay, I've had enough. Let's wrap it up.
I like that. That's a courteous way when she's not in the middle of the story, or that you ask that for when it does happen, so they kind of are aware. I love that.
Yeah. And it wasn't. I'm not judging her doing those long stories. That's just the way she works in her, her mind there. But I don't. So how can we be together and have it work for both of us?
Right. I have a family member who loves to tell me about people I don't know that died. And I doing it again. And then she laughs because I told her.
Oh my God.
And she goes, oh, okay. And then she doesn't do it anymore, which I give her credit for, kind of laughing at herself. But I find it highly interesting. I'm like, I don't even know. It's like, she told me this detailed story. I'm like, this has to be someone I know. And then,
yeah, where are we going with this? How did we get here?
Like, is this one of my friends, or is this like one of my friends like aunts or something, or is this someone's neighbor down the road's aunt? Like, I just lost 10 minutes of my life.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But I try to say it in a poke fun at her in a fun way, just to bring awareness that she's, by telling that story, go into those deep emotions.
Well, that's what I've worked with people before. And even before I started doing Morphic Awakening, I was doing therapy. I would tell people to tell me the story once or twice.
Yes.
But after that, stop. But tell me in detail once or twice. But we're not going to go through it every week.
Right.
Because it just creates the groove even deeper in the neural pathways the more you tell it.
And you say it in such a sweet way. You're like, I'm not really interested in the story.
Did I say it to them? No, I wasn't sweet. I said,
you said, let's not be so worried about the story. And I kind of like, and you're like, I want to know about what's the emotion, not the story of the emotion.
You say that?
You said that. You said that to me when we were in
I want to know the
talking about the story too much.
Right.
And you said, well, let's bring it back to the emotion, not the story. And I love that.
The feeling, not the emotion.
Right.
But if you tell a story, typically in your energy field, there's going to be a reaction. And you'll be able to feel it, the reaction.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm interested in, because it's really coming from that reaction is what I want to work on. Mm-hmm. Shifting the story is not going to eliminate the reaction.
And okay, so that's interesting. You just said the reaction and the emotion are different.
Well, the reaction can be an emotion, but feeling, when you close your eyes and you have this huge consciousness around you, it feels everything. Like right now, I know where the table is. I can actually take my awareness there and feel the edge of it. You can feel, right? You can feel from your toes all the way. That's a feeling function of your consciousness. Okay. And it's not emotion.
Right.
It's a different awareness. And emotion's moving, and it's a form, and it's usually in reaction to a story or thought or concept.
That's so true.
Yeah. And emotions aren't so useful. I don't, people say, follow your emotions. That's where the truth is. It's not at all. It's not where the truth is.
And where would you say the truth is?
In the field of consciousness, open consciousness. Not what moves through it.
No, because that's just like a tree. When it rains, the rain comes and it goes. But the trees.
Yeah. Yeah. I've only got a couple. I've got 3 on my battery.
Okay. Well,
I charged my computer, but I couldn't pick you up on my computer, so I have you on the iPad.
Oh, okay. Well, I thank you so much for just speaking with me. And
I could speak forever with you. It's so lovely.
I just appreciate you so much, and also when you were so sweet enough to work with me when my friend died, and I literally was dreaming every night that I was in water. Every night I couldn't get out of the water, and I still sometimes, but just one time when you worked with me, it was such a big shift, and so it was a shift of sadness that it was still there.
One of the things about falling,
how that works.
Well, I'm just going to say, one of the things about falling into that expanded consciousness is that it doesn't have a beginning and an end. There's no birth or death to it. So the whole idea of birth and death leaves you. The body might go, the mind might go, but your awareness is merged with that expanded consciousness. You're not going to go, and what is real won't go. So you experience people's deaths differently too when you're there. You don't experience them as that body, mind, even though we might love the forms, we might love the body and minds, and we can still connect with them as consciousness.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why you can still feel people after they've passed.
Oh yeah.
But what I want to know is someone watching this, because I try to explain people what this is, and then I just tell them to do a session with you to try. Sometimes you have to experience it to really experience it, because it's just like it's almost like you lit a candle inside of me and it just is like burning. And then
I love that metaphor. Yeah.
And it's you're always looking for the light, and now I'm like, oh well, it's there. And so,
yeah.
But it's hard for me to explain that to people sometimes who maybe that that just they're like, well, I don't understand what happens with the sadness, or what happens with the emotion, and
you liberate it. It returns to pure consciousness.
And do you think that act of putting your consciousness on it liberates it back to consciousness?
What I think you put your awareness on it, but what really liberates it is expanding and welcoming the sensations of it. When you welcome the sensations, instead of going into fight or flight around the sensations of an emotion, it typically will arise and then dissipate, return to pure consciousness.
Right.
So it's like you're an alchemical vessel that's liberating all of these emotions.
That's true.
Yeah.
I sometimes talk to the emotion and I just tell, okay, you know what? You have my full attention. You really want my attention. So I'm completely here with you right now. And I just sit with it. But if I combine that to dropping into that cave that you kind of walked me through, then it kind of, or just watching that feather drop.
Yeah. Or just opening up and saying, okay, emotion, I'm going to feel you fully. And then like you would, just welcome it in. And it's all of its funky sensations. Just welcome it. Come. And it'll come into spaciousness, and then it'll dissolve.
And that's beautiful. And I think right now, this is one of the things that can help so many people, because everybody are going through so many emotions. They're going through fear, and they don't know what to do because the economy and maybe their jobs, or they're scared of the sickness or what's happening right now. And I just want to offer other tools to help.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you do, is that you're offering tools
so they can find it unconditionally, regardless of what's happening outside. When they're in their unconditional true nature, the solutions arise. You don't figure them out. The mind that you try to figure it out is limited, and when you go into focus, it narrows, and you go into your sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight, and you're a mess. You know, at least I was. And
I agree with that.
Yeah. So I think we're down to one.
Okay.
On this. And I'm sorry I didn't bring the charger down with me, but I thought I was going to use the computer. Fancy that.
So how can people find you?
They can get in touch with me on email, sirriyadin@gmail.com, or go to Morphic Awakening website. That's good.
And I just want everyone to know that you just have to try it, because it is life-changing. And I just wish that people could feel what it is. It's a shift, and it's slowly there. And then the more that you shift, then everyone around you shifts.
Everybody's, And that's where miracles happen.
That's when miracles happens. And you also said, when I was working on problems, maybe that I have within my family, then everyone in my family also shifts.
Yes. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
When everybody shifts.
I noticed a big change happening, and I just absolutely love it. So I can't thank you enough, and thank you so much. And
thank you. I'm so delighted. Zoom face to Zoom face. Hello.
My heart is full. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to Wake Up, Wake Up, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Much love to all. Bye.